¿Qué estás viendo? El podcast de cine de ADN 40. Con Andy Montoya y Andrea Rendón. ¿Y tú? ¿Qué estás viendo?
Escuchas ADN 40 Radio. ADN 40 Radio. Siempre conmigo.
Hola, hola, bienvenidos de nuevo a este espacio que lleva por nombre ¿Qué estás viendo? El podcast de cine de ADN 40 y como pueden ver, pues no estamos en la cabina de ADN 40, estamos pues en el Festival de Cine Libanés, el primero que se hace en la Ciudad de México. Y pues tengo aquí a mi lado a Ginger Yabur, que pues ya había visitado la cabina y pues estamos ahora sí en su evento, prácticamente ya lo organizó solita. Y pues no solamente eso, sino también tenemos un invitado muy especial que es Sam Lahoud, que es fundador y director de la Beirut Film Society. So thank you so much for your time, Sam. Gracias, Ginger.
Andy.
And is this your first time in Mexico?
It's my second time.
Second
my first time
time
was in 2017. I was programming a special program for Lebanese cinema at Cuando International Film Festival.
Oh.
So Lebanon at that time was
it
the
was
guest country.
The guest country, yes.
Yeah, so there are a lot of people that came from Lebanon. So Beirut Film Society, we did the short film program at that time, but I didn't visit Mexico City. So this is the first time in Mexico City.
So what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you think about Mexico?
In fact, I'm still discovering. At first, before knowing the country and having friends here, definitely Mexico had somehow a negative perception in some of our mind. We always think about Latin America as place for drugs, mafias, this kind of things. And then, because this is the only country in Latin America that I visited in my life, so I didn't go to any other country in South America. But of course, definitely when you meet the place, when you come to the place, you feel more, you know it better. So
yes, and that's a little bit of what I want to talk with you and with Jean. You know, the perception that maybe, for example, people in other parts of the world have from Mexico, and it happens also to Lebanon.
Of course, definitely. When I travel and I introduce myself, I tell them, listen, I am a Lebanese tourist, not terrorist. So, so this always, you have also the perception that Lebanese are terrorists or are even all the Arab countries. So you have this image that the Arab world is something that
But
comes
I
from.
must say that, But I must say that on the other hand, when I go to Lebanon and I tell them I am from Mexico, they tell me, Pablo Escobar.
No,
And I'm like, yeah.
they're completely wrong.
They're completely wrong.
Geographically wrong.
Geographically wrong, yeah.
Yeah, and well, I think that this stigma that, for example, I don't know, when I tell people like, Midwest, well, countries from the Arab world, they're like, no, war, horrible. And I think that seeing movies like this and having this type of cinema, it helps like to know, you know, the common life of people.
But this idea that you have is an idea that has grown because of two main things.
Yes.
And it's because of Hollywood
Yes.
and the Prince.
Exactly.
But mainly because of Hollywood. And there is all a theory around it that says how Hollywood has created this wrong image and perception of the Middle East so that they could maintain their oppression and domination in these countries. So whenever that there is a conflict, you can even see it in the news. Many times they refer as people in the Middle East as animals, as savages, as not as people. And we are like, this is something that has happened during decades, maybe almost 1 century, of how Hollywood and the mass media has portrayed the Middle East in general.
I would like to add on Ginger, the exclusivity of Europe and the Westward and North America made set a certain images that this is the right and this is the wrong, and this is the democratic, this is the dictator, this is the civilized, this is the savage. So this over control of the media, of the Western media, set certain stereotypes. Now, with the new era and the digital age, and with this tool we have in hand, we are changing all the narrative. This is why now the voices of South America, of Africa, of the Middle East, of Eastern Asia, of Eastern Europe even are being changed. So because now you have the tools and you have the medium to express yourself, to be present on the table, and to change the entire narrative. And people should understand this. Instead of using this just to take selfies and post your stories, you have to use this to tell the real issues of your society, to change the image, to change the perception.
Yes, and of course, I wanted to ask you something like that. Like, how do you think like these narratives in the entertainment business, like TV and film, affect a society? I mean, because as you're mentioning, it's like we're like in a position of to say what's right and what's wrong, and having these kind of festivals. How did you select the narratives and the stories we were going to see?
We made a selection based on peace narratives,
Yes.
but peace has many meanings. You cannot define peace. There is not one meaning of peace. So when I asked Sam for movies with peace narratives, I was thinking about movies that had certain criteria. First of all, movies that didn't portray stereotypes or violent images of the Middle East. This was the first criteria. I didn't want any movie that had war images or violent images of Lebanon. The second criteria was movies that portray stories of reconciliation and how people are maybe... with peace narratives, we don't necessarily mean forgetting what has happened or denying the history,
Yes.
but what we mean is how people are reconstructing themselves after what has happened. So, for example, one of the movies I really like that I think that really portrays what we want in this festival is Shattered, Destrozada. Shattered is a movie about the explosion of Beirut. For those of you who don't know, on August 4, 2020, Beirut had one of the biggest port explosions. It was the biggest non-nuclear explosions in the world, and half of the port was destroyed. And I thought it was very irresponsible to make a Lebanese film festival and not put a movie about August 4th. But the movie we chose is Shattered, and it talks about a girl who is walking around her city after her city was destroyed, and it's kind of a poetic essay in a movie of how she's trying to reconstruct herself after the explosion. So one of the questions she asks is, how do we fix ourselves? When everything in the outside is already fixed, how do we fix ourselves from the inside? So I thought that this was a very beautiful way of saying, yes, we had an explosion, but we are reconstructing ourselves after this in these ways, you know? So these were mainly the criteria. I don't know if Sam had another one.
You said it all.
And one other thing, it was not a criteria, but it ended up being like this, and I think this is something that really represents Lebanese cinema. 10 of our 16 short movies are directed by women. We didn't make this on purpose. I just selected the movies. But I think Sam talked about it a little bit in his masterclass, and I think that it's nice because women have other narratives. Women have other ways of approaching another vision. And I felt that many of the things I wanted to show, many of the simple, beautiful things, it's what the women were recording. So this was one also of it was not a criteria, it was a coincidence, but I think it was nice too.
And also I heard this, I saw this term that you use for describing what the Beirut Film Society does, that is film-friendly.
Film-friendly Lebanon.
Yes, and what does that mean to you?
Film-friendly Lebanon is a vision of Beirut Film Society because we are working on different levels to make all the country film-friendly. What does it mean film-friendly? First, people will be more educated into cinema. So we are spreading cinema culture across the country, especially that in Lebanon, everything is centered in Beirut, in the capital. So in the places, in the rural societies, they don't have access to culture. So if you want to watch a film in Akkar, you have to drive for 3 hours to reach a cinema hall to watch a film. So this is why, with other also definitely initiatives in the country, we are trying to reach all those places. Second, we want the Lebanese people to understand that cinema is an industry and it's vital for the economy. So it's not only like a hobby people do. We all know that the production industry contributes to the national economy. In Lebanon, all the cultural sector contributes by 5% of the national GDP. So, and what we do, like when you take a film and you go to rural places and shoot the film there, you inject cash in places where this cash will have a big effect on the economy. So this is what we did in the film that we will watch today, C-Section. In C-Section, we took a budget and we used this budget in a place far from Beirut. First, when you go to this place, this budget will be more effective because what costs in Beirut $1,000 in the rural places cost half price. So you have less cost. And then when you inject this cash money in the local economy, every small business, they will work in it because film is not only about acting. It's also about set design. There are people, carpenters who work in it, electricians, painters, everyone. So you need drivers, hotels.
It's an industry.
It's an industry. So when you work on Film Friendly Lebanon, we prepare those places to be able to welcome film production on all levels. So people will be trained to work in the industry. Even some small communities, they may do a small business of doing catering, sandwiches. So when you inject this money in those places, you will help those people to stay in their land, in the rural places, and reduce the level of internal migration from the rural places to the cities, and definitely you will promote also again for something called film-induced tourism. So people, they will watch the films, they will know those villages, they will go and visit them. So it's an entire process that makes or contributes in making culture, cinema, and production a very vital tool in the national economy. So this is the vision. It's not only just a slogan. It's really something that will change the entire perception of how to be sustainable, how to build sustainable villages and sustainable towns in the country.
It sounds amazing. It sounds like a big plan. Like,
of course, it is a big plan, and it also includes a database like over all the country. We are preparing a database that geographically and on crafts, locations, everything on a website. We will have eventually, in a short period of time, all the data for all the countries. So if you want to go and to shoot in Baalbek, you enter the website and you see who are the people who are the talents, who are the professionals, who are equipped, the location, the hotels, the hospitals. So you have all the data related to with contacts, with pricing. So this is the project. It's a big project.
It sounds amazing, and I want to ask you something. When I heard in your masterclass that you don't have an arcade, that it was born, I felt like my heart was broken because I could not imagine revisiting the story of my own country without movies. So I think that movies are like a window to the past and to the history of your own country. So how do you feel like not having this and what people can do, or I don't know.
I want to say something out of your question. Cinema writes the true history of a society. History that we study in the books is a big lie. Why? Because it is written by those who win the wars.
I don't know how it's said in English, but maniquea, historia, history, like, yeah.
History is written by the generals of the army who win the war and by politicians. This is what we teach our children in the school. Imagine that Adolf Hitler won World War II. Mm-hmm. We would study in the books that Winston Churchill was a criminal and he used to bomb Europe and kill children. So, and we will study that the nuclear bomb that was thrown in Nagasaki and Hiroshima was not to stop the war, it was to massacre millions of people. So the narrative of history is written by those who are winners. However, filmmakers come from the people and they write the story from the perspective of the people. They are the voice of the people. This is why they are great contributors in writing the history. Then films are not only a story that you are watching, it's a historical document. Researchers, if they want to understand the 20s and the 30s, they go and they watch films. They understand the urbinage, the cars, the fashion design, the architecture, the society, the food. So it's a document that documents all the historical period. Now, if you want to understand Lebanon and to understand the history of Lebanon, I can recommend five, 6 films that show you the history from different perspectives, and you do your own analysis. Because even in Lebanon, the history book, we stopped history in 1943. Okay. So students in schools now, after 70 years, they study until in 22 November 1943, Lebanon got the independence from the French and stopped. Why? Because they are not agreeing on the real history. What happened really on those 70 years on all levels. So because there is no one who won the conflict. We have this equilibrium of power, so no one wins in Lebanon. So this is why no one can write the history book. However, cinema can write it.
Okay. Exactly. Wow. And I want to go back to Mexico. You mentioned also in the masterclass and that there was like this boom of the Mexican telenovelas in Lebanon. Now we have like this boom of the Turkish and Arab telenovelas here in Mexico. So do you remember anything or which was your favorite that you saw there, the telenovelas?
And I used to watch a little bit of it, not all of it, but I used to love Maria Mercedes because Talia is very beautiful. You know, I love Talia, the singer. So she was very famous.
Sing for us.
Maria Mercedes? But I don't know the lyrics.
He's a singer.
Yes, I
Maria
heard.
Mercedes, I don't know if the lyrics are right, okay? So I will just go that. But the song was Maria Mercedes, por servirle usted, de mi familia me cargo yo, mi madre nos abandonó, porque mi padre jamás compró. So, something like this. I don't know if the words are right.
And how do you feel it impacted? Well, it was the impact of in the narratives that are now like in the movies or in the TV in Lebanon of Mexican.
In fact, those stories that they came in the 90s in the Mexican novellas were new for the Lebanese society because they were not like that similar. Some of them, of course, the love stories are universal, but it was a very simple story of love between poor and the rich people. So it was not that. It doesn't have that lot of depth. And this is the issue with the novellas, TV novellas, because they address they want to please everyone in the society, and they have a previous judgment while doing the novella that if you want to sell, you have to be silly. Yes. So this is an issue in TV drama. This is why TV drama doesn't cross the level of being an entertainment, except, of course, of few series that are very artistic, rich. Like now, George Khabbaz on Shahid has a Brando Shara. Brando Shara, when I watched this series, and it's a Lebanese series, when I watch it, I thought that this one will not sell. Because it's a series with value, with values, with artistic approach, very beautiful. It worked well because George is very famous and people love him. I think we will try to bring him next year with us here. So, however, the topics are not that interesting in terms of society, and most of them, they are imposed on society. Like imposed, you feel that this story does not happen in real life.
Yes, that happens.
And those characters does not exist in society.
That happens a lot. And well, to finish, I want to ask you a question, and also like having this reflection. You mentioned also in the masterclass that there was this time when there was the war, and they want to make movies, so they stopped the war, the fire for days, and they contribute even to the movies, the soldiers, and they were happy. So I think that maybe film and movies are like a weapon of peace.
Exactly. This
And
is what I was saying.
I was touched by that analogy. So I don't know. Thank you, Ginger, for making this festival that has this line and this narrative. And thank you, Sam, also
Thank you.
for sharing this with us.
Do we have space for another last
yes.
idea? During
But
the
wait, maybe people in the podcast don't know the story, so maybe
okay,
Sam,
yes.
you should tell
This is-
the
yeah,
story.
exactly. So during the Greek era, they used to stop wars during the festival of theater or during the Olympics, and actors and sportsmen, athletes, were used as ambassadors for peace. So in Lebanon during the war, production companies, they wanted to produce and to use the actual location of war scene. So they used to go to the lines of fire and ask the militants and different parties, to stop the war for a couple of days to do the shooting. And they were happy to do it. So they stopped the war and they do the shooting, and some soldiers or militants, they also participate as extras in the films. And yes, this is very symbolic, because cinema definitely is a tool for peace. And in April, we had the opening of Beirut International Women Film Festival on 14 April. The night before the opening, at night, Iran did the attack on Israel, the big attack that happened. So I received hundreds of phone calls asking me if we are keeping the festival. The festival was the second day. So on the second day, we did a declaration, a public declaration, and we reminded people that during the Greek era, they used to stop war to do the festivals. So we will not stop the festival to do the war. So this is the equation. And we are still trying to fight this in a region that is governed by wars. So this is why we are continuing to do events and festivals and cinema and productions. Because war, whenever you are producing a theater play or you are doing a film or a festival, the sound of war should stop and keep space for art and for celebrations.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much, Ginger, for this space, and thank you for your time. And pues bueno, sigan a ADN 40 en todas sus redes sociales. Muchísimas gracias a Ginger, muchísimas gracias a Sam. Y pues nada, recuerden seguirnos en ADN 40 en todas las redes, en Spotify, darle like a este video, compartirlo, y pues nos vemos hasta la próxima. Gracias.